Well, I guess the snow has stopped, so it looks like maybe we'll have a good weekend after all. At least get out, with the kids and be able to build some snowmen. Say, before I start off, though, there were some questions that had come out of another session that I'm going to go ahead and read off to you so that you got a little bit of advance notice since we haven't actually put this out, and what the answers are. So one of the first questions was, is there a communication going out with the campus link for all stakeholders to access when and in what method? And the answer on that one is we're going to be sharing the go live sign up process next week during the answer hour sessions, and it'll be including the communication. We'll be sending out 2 emails on the morning of November 2nd, one to group administrators and one that will be a government delivery bulletin with the link to campus letting folks know that they can register. The next question is, when is campus available on November 2nd? Is it going to be 7 a.m. in the morning, 12 a.m. in the morning? When? And the answer is it'll be live and ready to go at 8 o'clock in the morning. So that's when it's going to happen. Next question is, do group administrators get an earlier login? Those group administrators, they always want to be able to get an edge on the process, and I can't blame them, so would I. However, the answer again is no, it's not going to be able to be open until November 2nd at 8 a.m. So you can let your folks know about that. Are access times being staggered to avoid overloading the system? Well, our IT folks say the system is going to be able to handle it, so everybody can sign up at the same time. Now, that said, common sense says, probably adjust your schedule. Do it on your time. Don't just try to all rush in there at 8 a.m. because you probably got other work to do anyways. So that was the initial questions and answers that I have as a little bit of an advance notice. Now, today we were going to be talking about R3 forms. So, of course, the thing that we want to do is go ahead and sign in. I've already logged into what the email address is with the password. And so we'll go ahead and log in, knock on wood. All right, of course, we're using a government system. So yes, we agree that we're going to go ahead and follow all the rules, pending any kinds of civil penalties. And it should be working. Let's see here. Well, I wonder if this one's going to work or if it's going to be one of those other ones, Angie, that you said that was open.
Mike, it may be because you are already logged in that other browser.
Okay, so let me X out of this one and see if I can pull up one of the others. So, Angie, I am not seeing where that is. So,
It looks like you totally X'd out of your browser. So if you just want to go ahead and
and try it again.
try it again, it should work this time.
Okay. Oh, all right. So I went directly in. Do not pass go. Actually, pass go and collect $200. All right.
One thing really quickly, I just want to clarify with this. I know Mike clicked this and it went right back. Just a reminder, he is in our test system, so this is typically not going to be the case. If you log in, it's not going to save your information typically if you X out of your browser. Since he is working in the test environment, we do have some slightly different configurations. So I just wanted to clear that up for everybody. Just so you don't expect that the system will keep you logged in. We do have some security requirements where it will automatically log you out after a period of inactivity or if you close your browser out.
So what Angie is saying very kindly is I'm special. Anyways, so what's going to happen here is we're going to go ahead and we're getting into our campus and we're going to go to my rehab cases. And the way that everything's working is if you look up on towards the top, you're going to see a green line going across And that tells us the computer is working like it's supposed to. And eventually what it will do is it'll go ahead and it'll pull up our different cases. Gee, I can hear myself vibrate or echo, I guess. All right. So the thing that we'll want to do is go into our claims. The first one I've got here as a good test is good old Jessica Day. So I'm not going to go into the claim. I'm actually going to go into the rehab transaction because that's what generally is going to be available to all QRCs unless you've got that special authorization to go into the claim. So we're going to go ahead and go into there. And the nice thing about this is that when we get to our front page, it kind of starts talking to us about what our general information is, some of the general forms that have already been filed, like the initial consultation date, which was on 10/1/20. It's already talked about when we needed to go ahead and have the R2 done. Now, one of the things that we're going to go ahead and do is start off the process. And I think we've already got a R2 that is filed. Let's just do a double check. Okay, so you notice I went up here into the right-hand corner where it said R form details. And as we look into our details, it says that the RCR has already been submitted. The R2 has been submitted. Now, the retraining plan hasn't, the PPR hasn't. When I was messing around with this earlier, I did do some submissions of some R3s, and we'll actually kind of go back to that. But the interesting thing is this does not block me as we're doing R3s today. The fact that it says submitted doesn't block me from doing additional R3s because, of course, you've got different things that are going to happen. There might be where we're going to go ahead and continue the plan. There may be a change of QRC, there may be a withdrawal and sending it back to the VRU, etc. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start this process off as though we're going to extend the rehabilitation plan. So what I tend to do is I put my cursor up here on the R3, and you'll see it has a new button up here. It says submit. So we'll click onto that, and then I'm going to go down to the next button. And what that will do for me is that will go ahead and open up some stuff. Let's see here. I'm going to pull that up. So one of the things that I have learned in all this process is that we're going to go ahead and continue as the assigned QRC. There's the general information that we have. We've got the employee's WID number, of course, who they are, Up North Insurance. The nice thing about this program, as we've talked about before, is it repopulates this information if we have it there before. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to hit next. Now, the last time I was working on this thing, I filled in a bunch of the service categories. Now, one of the things that you'll find here is that these areas are all going to be required service category definitions. And that's that little asterisk up here. And that's really important for you guys to focus on that, because if you don't have that completed with what it is that you're going to be doing as far as that service, it's not going to let you go any farther. Now, one of the things that I recommend that you QRCs do is go ahead and create a template. You know, most of us that we're out here in the field, we use a lot of the same descriptions. We may modify part of it after a period of time just to fit our particular client situation. But again, you know, there's going to be a lot of the same wording that we're going to use. So what I would do is just create a general cheat sheet of an explanation that you have and kind of keep that handy someplace. What I did was I actually literally went through from 0 to service category 20, and I wrote down a definition for each of the areas that I could just go ahead and cut and paste from a Word document, making my life easy. The other thing, of course, is you go ahead and you put down again what you're going to be your required cost. So maybe this time, when I'm continuing it, it's going to be $400 because there's some extra particulars here. Now, one of the things too here, as far as the projected completion date, you can use the calendar here to go ahead and advance and pick a new date. You know, generally one of the things that I like to do when I was doing my work, because I always, as some people would know from past supervisors, was I tended to do all my reports towards the end of the month. And so that's what I picked as far as my completion date. Now, another easy little cheat here is if you go ahead and take and do uh, a copy of this, instead of going back and hitting the calendar each time, I can go ahead and just do a copy and paste on each of these so that they're all current and have what I want to have on there. As an FYI, one of the things that I did do, when you look at my job placement and my job development categories, and this was something that I picked up from uh, talking with a QRC firm and QRC, who is actually very successful over at OAH when trying to get their definition of job placement and job development approved through the courts, because some of the other folks weren't understanding what it was. Literally what they did was they took the definition off the back of the R2 or the R3 of what job development is and just cut and pasted it in. So if there was any question in front of going in front of a judge or in front of a mediator and saying, well, what were the activities that you're performing for those activities? You just say, hey, it's on the back side of the R3, and this is what the definition is, and this is what we were following. So just a little hint there. Thank you, Angie, on that one. And let's see here. So one of the things that you have here is, as we start working our way on down, is projected cost and duration. Well, we know that the plan costs to date are all going to vary because these are all projections up here. We don't know if it's actually going to cost all that much until we get until the previous month as to how much we actually spent as far as service hours. So whatever that figure might be, say it's $4,500. We'll put that into place so that that will calculate with that. Now you noticed here, this estimated total cost didn't go and jump up to say it was like $9,500 or $9,600. And one of the things that I figured out here is if I just go back up here to my calendar, if I click onto the 30th, it'll automatically go ahead and add that up for me. And then I'll just go back to the calendar, put that one back, and everything's good to go. And I guess my $4,500 was actually $45,000. I was really padding my bill, apparently, up to this point. So anyways, we have the new projected cost of $50,000. Now, in this particular case, since the filing of the R2, there had only been 3 weeks that were done. And this, of course, has a lot to do with the fact that we're in the test environment and we've been filing multiple forms, RCRs, R2s, etc. So that's what that is. Of course, my projected completion dates here is going to be accurate, so we've got that. What we're going to do here, one thing I should tell you here is if there's any reason that you need to back up, do not use the arrow up on the top left-hand side, because what that does is it squares you back out at 0 and you got to start all over again. If you're going to use the want to back up, use the backup button, okay? And that way, when you go to next, everything that we put in there before is still going to be there. So take it from somebody who was making that mistake several times until I finally figured it out. I know. All right, so next. In this case, there's no need to go ahead and look at filing a plan progress report because we haven't had 6 months pass since the R2 was filed, so don't need to put that down or upload a document. One of the things with the plan barriers, though, I will tell you is that it's always better to just go ahead and attach a sheet. So I would say see attached sheet when it does come to that 6 month mark, um, rather than trying to write something out because it's just not going to be enough room. Supporting attachments, of course, that's going to be something that will be signatures that's going to happen here. So one of the things here is that the thing that we normally are going to do is before we're going to go ahead and um, do anything else with this thing is we're going to go back and we're going to save it as a draft. Now, I'm not going to hit save as a draft right now, but let me tell you that this is what the process is going to be. In fact, I'm going to back up. I can go all the way back because I actually did save a draft before. Okay, save as draft next. And this time I'll back up. And one of the things that you'll find is not that one. Let's see here. Where am I? Gotta back up farther. Sorry for the delay. Okay. Actually, what happens here is if we go all the way back out to the very beginning, if I look into my forms, you'll find where the client here is at. And what you would do on this situation is you would just go hit rehab amendment, and that would bring us back to the original draft. Now, one of the questions that came out in one of our past sessions here was the question about what do you do as far as signatures is concerned. So the answer on that is pretty simple. What you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and you're going to complete your document and you're going to save it as a draft. Once you save it as a draft, you can go ahead and download and print it. And then what you're going to do is go ahead and send it out for signatures like you normally would. So you'll do the circulation where you send it to the employee. They've got the 15 days to review, sign, return, etc. And then you get it from the employee, then you send it to the insurer. And I assume that when you're sending it to the employee, either it's an encrypted email or it's by US mail. I know that when I was doing it by US mail, I always sent in a self-addressed stamped envelope with it, which helped encourage to get the document back. And let's see here. I think because I did all my backup stuff, I probably lost what I had, which is fine. So once you get the R3 back, that is the time that you're going to go ahead and do any uploading of signatures. So you have a copy of the signed R form where the signature is of, say, the employee. You may not have the signature of the insurer, which generally happens. I mean, that's a business move on their part. They're saving themselves time. And so what you'll do is you'll attach a copy of either A, the letter that you sent to the insurer. You can see because I didn't save it before, everything kind of reverted back, which is kind of interesting. Let's see here. If I do that, thank goodness for memory of stuff, huh? So then what will happen here is that you'll attach the evidence along with any of the signed pages. You'll upload that, and we'll get again to that place here quickly enough. And one more time for the Kipper. that trick, go back and do that trick, which again will actually, well, I got to learn how to type. I'm too anxious to hit too many zeros there. All right. So it's going to come down to that thing about the uploading of documents. So that's the way you go ahead and upload your signature pages and the evidence, the letter, email, etc., that you sent out to the party that didn't do the signature. And that's the way that's taken care of. I will say that before you do the sending out to the people, you should probably go ahead and sign it yourself. And I guess I'm Angie Rehab today, so and this is important. I understand that by checking this box, I'm legally signing this electronic form, okay? And therefore, you don't have to download it, actually sign it, scan it back in, etc., and create a lot of extra work for yourself. So, and then at that point, you can just go ahead and distribute it, or go ahead and file it. It's kind of a misnomer here. Do you want to distribute it? It really doesn't matter at this point because you've already distributed ahead of time. So this little last part here where you say yes, it's redundant. If you do this and say yes, what happens here is if you check whoever the boxes are, say for the employee's attorneys and stuff, all you're doing is notifying them that it actually has been filed with the department. They may care about that, they may not. For my
Mike,
yes,
we have a question related to this, so I'm just gonna interrupt you quickly here to
certainly.
see if you can address it. So it just says, is it still necessary to send a letter to the insurer with the R2 or R3 if they are receiving it through campus?
The answer is yes. At this point, it is until maybe the system gets changed. Because what happens here is this distribution, when you distribute this, you're actually going to be filing it with the department. And what you want to do is you want to go ahead and get your signatures prior to filing it with the department, just like the rules say. So for us at this point in time, this part is not all that necessary to be utilizing. And what I would be doing is I would be just saying submit, which is file with the department, like so.
Well, that's processing. We do have another question.
Yeah.
If an admin is completing the form on behalf of the QRC, who signs it? I can field that one if you want, Mike. So when you see an electronic signature throughout campus, it's always going to be looking for the person who is logged in. It's going to want to match to your campus profile name. So if you're an admin staff and you are completing it on behalf of the QRC, everything would look exactly the same here. The major difference is that when you first like get to this screen that Mike is showing right now, if you are an admin staff or if you have admin staff, and this is something we went through in our group management training, you can establish relationships between the admin staff and the QRCs. So what would happen is once those relationships are established through the group management piece, essentially right above that assigned QRC piece right now, where it says assigned QRC and then it has the radio buttons, there would be a drop down that is asking which QRC you are completing this on behalf of. So you can indicate the QRC that you are completing it on behalf of, if you have multiple QRC relationships, and then you would sign it as yourself if you are an admin staff.
And the question then becomes, well, is that okay if the QRC is not signing the form? Well, there's that little old rule out there, which is 5220-1801 subpart 9E, which talks about your responsibility for somebody working on your behalf as the QRC. So you're still responsible for it, that they're signing off for you. So we've got that covered by able to do the electronic signature, which is a little bit faster for you. Is there any other questions? Okie doke.
You know what, Mike? I just got a couple in. So one is to clarify, since we are required to still send a letter to the insurer, will the insurers be receiving R2s and R3s twice if we send the R form via mail and email and they already receive it through campus?
Again, what happens with campus is if you use the campus electronic notification, it notifies them it's there in campus. So if they want to download it, they certainly can, um, but it's not going to have your evidence that's attached to that and saying, hey, need to review it, sign it, return it, or within 15 days.
Mhm.
We'll presume that it's agreed upon.
Yeah, and Mike, it sounds like the distribution piece, if you do distribute it through campus, that would not take place until after you've already got your signed copies. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, so you could just elect not to distribute it. I know Mike showed us how to distribute it, but you can always decline to distribute it as well and just file it to the department.
Well, no, you'll still need to distribute it to all the parties because we still need to get signatures.
That,
So
I think though that what you showed was after the fact, Mike. Where you were about to file it with the department is where you did your distribution piece.
right, I had already finished distributing it, and then I had uploaded all the signatures, and then I filed it or submitted it. That's correct.
Okay. I've got one more question for you. So
Hmm.
to clarify, is travel time to appointments supposed to go under which service category, 20, or to the specific category you are traveling to, such as a medical appointment, a job placement meeting, etc.?
Well, as far as expense and time,
Yes, I
all
believe.
right. So, the time is going to be covered under your professional costs because, as you remember, your travel time, I believe, is what, three-quarter of your professional time, and wait time is half. So that's going to be covered under, if it's like a medical appointment, it's going to be covered under your O1 service code area. And, if you're using like the invoice that we've got posted on DLI's website, um, it shows that, you can be using that same service category and then denoted in the specific categories how much time was spent in each. So that's broken out separately. As far as the mileage, of course, itself, that's going to be covered under expenses because you get what, 57.5 cents per mile or something like that right now. So that's the way that would work. Any other questions? All right. So we've talked about continuing as a QRC. We've talked about the change of QRC. No, excuse me, I haven't talked about change of QRC. And the withdrawal of QRC. I think what we're going to do right now is we'll probably talk about withdrawal. And I've got Mike here on the other line to help me out with that. And the reason I've got him on the other line is because he's got another account, and there's a little bit of changing back and forth that goes along with this. Now, one of the things that I figured out here, I'm going to go back to my original stuff, is there's the RT date, or RT rehab transaction numbers. Those actually kind of come into some importance. So I'm going to do 4144-493. Now you're asking me, well, Mike, why do you even bother to write that down if you already got a copy in your paper file? Well, I don't have a paper file, and so I need to be able to do that so I know what I'm doing. All right, so we are going to go ahead and we're going to submit, again, the R3. And this time we're going to do a withdrawal. And as you know, everybody, the only time you can do a withdrawal of QRC is if there is a primary denial of liability or a primary or further denial of liability. And of course, we covered that in the August 2015 compact, which is like 2 pages long about how all that process worked. But this is the only time that you can use that withdraw indicator on either your R3 or your R8, quite frankly, to be able to withdraw if there's a primary denial of liability. And of course, this also then interacts with the VRU, which is the vocational rehabilitation unit, which is the department's QRC unit that really specifically is designed to take care of those particular cases. So we've got our withdrawal of QRC, and we'll go ahead and we'll do a next. You know, one of the things that I would be doing with the withdrawal of QRC is I would be, as you know, is attaching some required documents here. So the first part here, let's see here, proof, blah, blah, withdrawing required. Okay, associated costs, cost data information. And we got that repeated twice. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and you've already created your own Word documents. So what you do is you go into your Word documents. I just need to find myself. Withdraw to QRC. All right. So one of the documents that, you know, as you might recall from that August publication is one of the things you want to do is attach a copy, if you have that, of the primary denial of liability, which I have right there, or at least an email from the insurer or maybe the defense attorney that says, hey, there's a primary denial or further denial of liability that's attached to this case. The other part of that's really important with this, of course, too, and I should say this before I go any farther, is if you're going to be using your R3 to withdraw and send the case over to actively handle the case, the employee needs to be disputing the insurer's denial. So if they're disputing it, and generally at that point, they're going to go ahead and get an attorney, file a claim petition, which is going to go ahead and say, hey, we've got this dispute, and therefore it's going to be brought in front of the ADR unit downstairs for a decision to be made. So if there is an active dispute, go ahead and send it over to the VRU, because if you don't get it, and Mike might have a copy of one of those letters that's dummied up, which shows, hey, we can't accept it because there's no active dispute. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and attach a copy of the primary denial of liability there. It's going to say serves category, agreement, blah, blah. Let's see here what's going to come close to that. Claim petition. I'm just going to put it down as correspondence. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about what it is. Whoops, already did that. Description. So in the descriptor is really what the meat and potatoes is and tells us what it is. So primary, whoops. All right, and we're going to upload that document. Oops, somehow I got rid of my thing. Oh. All right, Angie, what am I missing here?
It looks like you just need to select, it looks like you've got a document category that may not have document types in it quite yet populated in the test system. So go ahead and just get rid of that document category. So when you all are selecting this, you do not have to select a document category. You can just leave that blank. So if you scroll all the way to the top,
Okay.
so go ahead and try and upload your document again.
All righty, here we go.
And you don't have to complete that document category after you upload your document. You just have to select your document type from the list. The document category is just going to help you kind of narrow down that document type list. But since there's not an asterisk, you don't have to select anything specific from that. And then as Mike, so Mike is choosing his document type. And then after he selects his document type, there is a free-form field. So you'll see here that general correspondence from IR just pre-populated in the description, but you all can actually delete that or add to that and just type whatever you'd like. This is a free-form little note for us when we review these documents on the internal side.
All right, so we'll upload that. And that one works. All right. And of course, the other thing that we want to do with our R3 form is we want to go ahead and say, this is what the cost to date were. So everybody knows what that is. And if you remember from the 2016 QRC update that I've still got posted on DLI's website, it's a nice little note over to the VRU. It says, hey, I'm sending this over to you. This is what the cost service breakdown was. Here's how much the consultation was, how much I spend on medical management, vocational counseling, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's what's in this document right here. And I suppose I should put that down. And let's see here. QRC, put that down. All right. I'm going to just say costs to date. All right. And then go ahead, always have to sign because this is a required field. Understand, this is my electronic signature. And I should be able to just go ahead. You know, at this point in time, you can certainly go ahead and submit the form because it's notification that this one's going out. And you don't necessarily need to have signatures when we're sending it over to the VRU. Click on those. There's an attest button here. That's something that we're going to be revising, so you really don't need to do anything with that one. And then what we're going to, oops, I'm missing something. What am I missing? Now, how I know that I missed this? This is still gray. It's not a nice bright yellow button. So what, Angie?
You have to attest that a copy of the form is being provided to the required party.
Ah, okay. I stand corrected. So, yellow, here we go. What happens with this, folks, is I actually am electronically sending this file or this R3 and the employee's rehab file to date over to the VRU. And they're going to receive it and they're going to go ahead and take a look at it. And of course, one of the first things they're going to do is figure out, you know, is there a claim petition out there that is disputing what the insurer said about the priority denial? And Mike, are you on that end?
I am, yes.
All right.
So the good news for anybody that's tried to withdraw from a file and send it to the VRU, you know that today you have to submit both to the department and to the VRU a separate copy to something called the fax machine. So this is bringing us right into the 21st century. So it's going to be a direct link, and we get this withdrawal when you submit it to the department and advising the parties that you are withdrawing from the case.
And Mike, just before we go forward, Mike, sorry. I've got a question here. I think it was referring to some of the things that you were completing on the R3 and some of the comments. So I apologize that this is a message or this is a question I'm bringing in a little late. So it just says, is that a situation where having full claim access would be helpful for QRC so we can verify a dispute?
And my understanding is the way that the campus is going to be set up is that you're going to be able to see all R forms that are associated with it. And with that, of course, is a rehabilitation request that will be on there. So if there is a dispute that is going on that's related to rehabilitation, then you will be able to look into that and see that that's going on. I don't believe that you're going to be able to have access to medical disputes, but medical is outside of what you do anyways. And that's my understanding. I haven't checked that out in the test environment.
Yeah, so one thing to keep in mind as well is it's always an option if you do need full claim access for some reason. You would just need to complete, we have a specific form on our website where you can upload a signed authorization and complete a web form that's essentially requesting access to the case. So those will all get reviewed by DLI on the internal side. But typically with full claim access, it would also grant you access to those disputes. But if you are a party on a dispute for some reason, if your firm is party to that dispute, that is not something that you would have to request separate access to.
Yeah, so if you're working as an intervener, you're already there. And that form that she's referring to, of course, is something that the employee has to sign off to give you access to, which then comes over to the department for review and approval. Other questions, Angie?
That is the only one that I'm seeing right now. If we have time at the end of this hour, I know we're kind of getting short on time, we could always just demonstrate that authorization process as well for you all, just so you can see what that looks like.
All right, Mike, are you ready to tell me that you're not going to accept me?
I can do that. And this would, of course, after all your excellent instructions, training, and information on how to withdraw and when is the appropriate time to withdraw, this will probably never happen. But just in case it comes over to us, you withdraw, and there is no active litigation, we have a letter that we complete. We send it to the party, send it back to the QRC, and saying that because there's no litigation, the VRU is unable to file any forms or start any rehab, and the rehab case comes back to the withdrawing QRC to determine their next option. So we would file that into the document and let everybody know that the VRU can't work it at this time. So then the QRC has to go back and take this claim back, this case back.
Okay, and that's an important piece here. Literally, I just sent the whole file that we have as far as the rehab electronic stuff over to Mike at the VRU, and they're saying, hey, it's nice that we got it over here, but we're over here to let you park here so long. So, of course, the responsibility goes back to me because I'm still the assigned QRC. Now, campus has got a little funny thing here is that because they didn't accept it, but we did this kind of semi-quasi technical thing of a withdrawal, the only way we're going to be able to get this thing back is we need to do, funny enough, a change of QRC so that it comes back to us.
Hey, Mike?
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt. If you want, you're on the plan now, but they wouldn't be here. Once they submit it, they would have closed this page and gone back to their dashboard. And it is a little bit of a strange step that we've discovered is that when you withdraw and send it to the VRU, it comes off your rehab cases. It no longer is there.
That's a really good point.
And I can't send it back. The VRU, can't send it back to you. You have to, I notify you that we are unable to accept the withdrawal and we can't file any forms on it, but you have to retrieve that rehab transaction and put it back into your active rehab cases. So if you look at your active cases, the one that Mike withdrew from is no longer on your list.
Yeah, and remember that was Jessica Day.
So you have to get that. And the only place that you can find that is in your My Forms tab.
So how are we going to get there? Well, we sent it over there. No, I thought actually we needed to go back and...
No, I think if you go to the transaction now, the RT number for Jessica Day that says it was the plan amendment.
There we go.
And now you have to submit. So here's the quirky part of how it's set up right now, is you have to submit an R3 to yourself.
And hopefully you'll accept the R3 to yourself.
So you're changing, because your number is still on it because the VRU didn't take it.
All right, and then we'll hit next. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to talk about what happened. So we'll say withdrawals to VRU not completed as no dispute. Change
While
of.
you're typing that, I've got a really quick question. I'll just go ahead and handle in the chat. It was just asking if you need claim access to intervene. You do not need claim access to intervene. You can just complete a motion to intervene based on some of the dispute information. You do not have to have claim access to file a motion to intervene.
Okay. So we're doing the change of QRC back, and at this point in time, I guess we probably don't need a lot of this other stuff here. Let's see here. Let's get rid of this. So, we can get rid of all that. Not sure why that's still there. I'll have to figure that one out, Angie.
Yeah, did it not remove when you clicked remove?
Oh, there's no way to.
Mike, you would need to actually remove the whole row. So if you click the little button that says remove at the end of the row, it should just pull the row out.
Technology is a wonderful thing, especially if you understand it. Here we go. All right. We'll do that. We'll do some of that. Do some of that. All right. And of course, the thing is, we're changing it back to ourselves. And with that, then we're going to decide what we're going to do with this case. And we can certainly go ahead and put whatever the costs were to date again on this. Interesting. All right. Do this. Do that. Go back. Do that. And the thing that on this one, again, is once we have it back, then we can go ahead. There's really the supporting documents if we wanted to, so we could certainly go ahead and reattach a copy of the VRU letter to ourselves if we wish. The main thing is that it's just notifying the parties that we got it back. Isn't this nice? I don't have to keep typing Angie Rehab. It just automatically pops up. And then distribute it. Yeah, you go ahead and distribute it so everybody knows that you got it back. Testing. And that part is good for us. Now, when I was saying that we had to decide what we're going to do with this case, and this will be a demonstration later on, but either A, we go back to the parties and say, well, what do we need to do here? Is there going to be some kind of litigation? Do we want to continue to work the file? And, if the answer is yes, then, you can either A, continue to work the file, B, you can temporarily suspend the case until the hearings are all done. Or we can pull the other option of, listen, there's a primary denial. I don't think it's going anywhere. And at that point, file an R8 withdrawal because we still have the primary denial of liability. We would go ahead and do the withdrawal of QRC on the R8 form. And we do our final summary report like we normally do. Again, attach a copy of the priority denial with that summary report. And we would send that to the parties, including, since we've checked it on the R8, it automatically would go to the VRU. And then what they would do is they would monitor to see if that case comes alive again. And if it is then disputed and stuff, the VRU can pick it up. If it doesn't, then the case has been closed. And I think we've kind of hit all the different points that we were going to cover today. Is there other questions, Angie?
I do not see any other questions in the chat at this time.
Okay. Well, folks, going once, going twice. All right. If you have any questions, certainly feel free to go ahead and send it to our help desk line. And I've had that previously posted before. And WorkComp Campus. Let's see here. Maybe I can get rid of this and bring this over. Angie, can you see this?
Yes, I can see that. And then it looks like Mike Solheid actually went ahead and added the help desk email and phone number to the chat. I went ahead and I added a link that also, if you click on it, it contains that information that Mike just put in the chat for you. So you can go ahead and use that to contact the help desk. I know many of you have used our WCMP mailbox in the past, but we are actually retiring that mailbox on 11/2. So if you sent anything there recently, you likely have gotten that message that it will no longer be available after 11/2. So just a good habit to get in contacting our help desk rather than that WCMP mailbox.
And one of the nice things about the help desk that I should point out is that when your question comes in, whether it's an IT technical thing or whether it's a general rehab question, those folks are set up. It's a live voice, really kind of cool, instead of those recordings where you have to punch a bunch of buttons, where they will figure out which source it needs to go to get an answer. And not only do they go ahead and send off the question, say it's a rehab question to myself, but I will tell you they do follow up with me to find out, to make sure that I went ahead and answered that. So there's a really nice loop in that whole system to make sure that it gets closed and you get answers to your questions. All right. Well, I guess if there's no other questions, I'll let you folks go and get some lunch. Have a great day and talk to you at our next session. Take care now.